All right, Nick, Atlanta Falcons 0-2 start to the season, but there's some silver linings, and we're gonna get into that. You almost came back on the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. That's got to be pretty exciting to see a little bit spark, maybe a little bit too late, but and nonetheless, you did see a little bit of a spark. And before we get into the story, we've got to ask the Falcons fans. Slow start to the season, but there's been some pretty good bright spots on the team so far. Impressive rookies, veterans doing the things that they always do, give you a little bit of confidence in the season. But let us know in the comments below, who have you been the most excited or are most excited to watch this season? Is it the young rookie Drake London taking the league by storm? Is it Cordero Patterson, who's been doing what he does day in and day out? He's always a superstar. Or is it a guy like Kyle Pitts? He's a slow start, but maybe he gets going here soon. Let us know in the comments below, who are you excited to watch this year as a Falcons fan? But Nick, what kind of story you got on the Falcons?
So Mark Bradley over the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, he had an interesting piece talking about the most exciting player he wants to see this season is none other than rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder. And I'm going to read from this piece here a little bit and kind of go through it. Bradley says, don't think of the Falcons as being 0-2. Think of them as being 2 games closer to giving Desmond Ridder a look, which should be the most important part of the season. Bradley goes on to say, if the Falcons are 2-6 at their bye, they could turn to the rookie Ridder at round 3 draftee and nobody would bat an eye. Mariota isn't the future of the franchise. Ridder might be either, but better to find out sooner rather than later. The Falcons are apt to be picking higher in the draft in this upcoming draft in 2023 than last one. Their draft certainly has multiple quarterbacks looking for them next year. There's a lot of big names, obviously CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. So they need to know if Ridder's the guy. And that's kind of what Bradley's point here. Bradley goes on to say, the Falcons haven't looked terrible. They're just limited in what they can do. And that's a big part of what the quarterback position needs to do. They have the talent. We talked about that. You brought up some of the guys, Cordell Patterson, Drake London. The defense has actually at times been pretty good. They held the Saints for 3+ quarters, even though they gave away the lead. They made enough plays on defense and special teams to get back in the game against the Rams. They just don't have that special guy at quarterback, which is what you need. And former Falcons great Tony Gonzalez had this to say. Talking about what you need at the quarterback position. He said, quote, if you're talking Super Bowl, you just look at the names who have played in the Super Bowl the last 20 years. It's last name Manning, Brady, Mahomes, Wilson, Drew Brees, Rodgers. It's those type of quarterbacks you got to have at the helm if you ever want to be a Super Bowl caliber team. And every team, obviously, that's what they're going for, to be a Super Bowl caliber team. And right now, looking at Marcus Mariota, and this is what Bradley noted in his column, he's done well. He's done enough. 3 turnovers against the Rams isn't great, but they've been in these games. They've had chances. But they need to figure out if Desmond Ridder is their guy. And we don't 3 is the right time to turn to him or not. But I think if they don't turn this around quickly and Marcus Mariota doesn't look like he's a guy of the future, which I agree with Bradley. I don't think he is. I think we're getting very, very close, and the Falcons are leaning towards putting Ridder in the game and seeing what this guy can do. What are your thoughts on Ridder, Falcons, Mariota, just everything at the quarterback position there?
Well, Nick, if we take a look at Mariota's performance the last 2 games, first game of the season, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So, kind of lackluster at best as far as the passing game goes. And then this game, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 picks and a fumble. So, 3 turnovers, kind of rough. He has not had the best of starts, and he could only throw for 196 yards as well. Big things that stand out to me, whether this is play design or Mariota's decision, they're really not targeting superstar Kyle Pitts all that much. I think he deserves a lot more targets. Arthur Smith kind of comments on this as well. But I think that Mariota could look Pitt's way a little bit more and probably get him involved, especially if you've been losing. Look to get your superstars the ball. But Mariota just hasn't impressed me. And like we said, he's not the future. He's not supposed to be the future. He's a bridge guy. We never really expected him to come out and take the league by storm. We kind of already knew what he was. But we don't know what Ridder is. We don't know what he can be. And it's always kind of exciting to think about, what are these guys going to do? Can they come out? Can they be, the next Joe Burrow? Can it be a guy like Justin Herbert? These guys like Patrick Mahomes who come out, nobody really knows about them. They come out, take the league by storm. But you don't know unless you give them a shot. So I think maybe you give Mariota another game. And if you can't win another game, it's time to start seriously considering looking at practices if Ritter's been stringing together 1, 2, 3 good practices, you have nothing to lose to give him a start. You know what I mean? It's not like he's sitting under Tom Brady and he's going to be learning a plethora of information. You're under Marcus Mariota, who's probably arguably a different quarterback than Ridder is in his own right. So you're not really going to lose anything by going ahead and start Ridder, get him some real game experience, don't you think?
Well, especially since, we talked about this in the video we did with the Falcons in the offseason. The roster, and then we've seen it with their performance losing close games against quality teams, New Orleans and Los Angeles. The roster is better than a lot of people gave them credit for. They're right in the thick of these games at the end of the year. And, with that mentality and that scheme and those players around them, they can find a way to win football games with better quarterback play. So it's not like you're throwing Ridder in a situation where he's just behind a dumpster fire of a team and he's just got to find a way to make it work. This is a team that's ready to win. We've seen it the last 2 weeks. They just need better quarterback play, and Ridder could be that guy. And to your point of maybe this week not being the week, they actually go to Seattle week 3. So I don't think that's probably this first start. But the week after is interesting. They have the Browns, obviously with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. The Browns had some issues, and they're very beatable right now. Then they have the Browns in Atlanta. I think that's an interesting game. And then maybe Carolina a few weeks later, Carolina Panthers in Atlanta October 30th. I think those are the 2 dates to watch for if you're a Falcons fan, for Ridder to potentially see his first action as a quarterback.